Hello.
Everybody, I have a question for you. What's transpiring? What's taking place?
Here we go again.
What's taking place? What's happening?
How are you, Reed? Good to see you.
What is happening, Race of Apes?
It is another lovely fall day here on the latter half of November, and we're sitting outside. It's maybe 60 degrees, bright and sunny.
This is the half of November where you have to get a ladder. And what are you doing with it? The latter half of November?
I see. That was a nice attempt at humor. Let me know if you have any success.
I love it. I'm going to keep that up as much as I can because irritation is my number one goal.
And you're quite good at it.
Thank you.
So what's up today? What do you got going on?
That's saying something. Today, what's up is the sun. Not really the temperatures, but...
Don't let the sun catch you crying.
It's pretty nice. Or go down on you. Oh, well, wait a minute. Okay, so I'm going to move right past that. And
well done.
We're going to get straight to thanking you for checking it out and listening and tuning in and being with us and all that.
Hey, you are who?
I am Reed of Apes.
And I am Race of Apes, and we are
Mixed Apes.
And this is
You Should Know This Song. Damn it. Exclamation point. And disclaimers. Lots of disclaimers, but we won't go into those right now. Welcome. Please.
It's good to have you back and good to have your back.
Please settle in. Please
have my back.
Have maybe an adult beverage or Kool-Aid if that's what you like. You know, we don't care. Just
if you like a children's beverage, have one of those. When my youngest son was small, we would go to the grocery store on the weekends that I had him, and I'd grab a 6-pack of beer.
Sure.
And we'd get treats, whatever we were going to get, and food for the weekend. And I would get these little plastic. I don't remember what brand they were, but they were little plastic bottles in a little 6-pack or 4-pack.
Yeah, like
the twist off top, and he called them kid beers.
Long necks at that.
Yeah.
Kid long necks. Yeah. Oh, that's delightful. As long as there were no. It goes hand in hand with. I'm sure you'll remember candy cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to love some candy cigarettes. Okay, so we're gonna get around to some real business here. We're gonna do our nest keeping first.
Sure.
Anybody to shout out to? Anybody to... or just everybody in general?
My daughter, Amity, there's been a bunch of comments, like pretty much every second or third episode she's leaving a comment, and usually it's, hey, I dug this or I dug that, whatever. But
right.
Like she's been commenting all along, and I got behind on seeing the comments because you can't see them on all the platforms if you don't log in and look for them. And in some cases, they're actually kind of hard to find in the platform.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, sounding completely inept after almost a year of this myself. Because the other day, that little story and shout-out brings to mind that I was thinking about the last episode that dropped, and we left a bunch of unanswered challenges in it.
Yes.
And I looked around a little, but I didn't see where we got any answers. Anybody responding to...
But some of the folks that I know don't listen to the episode, the downloaded episode, till the end of the week. I have a couple of people that listen that way.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that we're going to get inundated.
Right, inundated. That's the word. I was trying to think of it
I will
myself.
Be absolutely buried in responses.
Hey, if you don't know, a recent episode, we left a ton, probably 20?
Thereabouts-ish
challenges, song lyric challenges in there, unanswered. They were derived from the text threads that we share. And all we did was give the clue. And now it's up to you to bring it through. And I'll stop with that.
Oh, I was hoping you had one more.
I did, but I'm not going to go because I have 5 more.
So yeah, send your cards and letters in, folks. Let's get the answers to those.
That's right. And what do we got? We need to talk about. Oh yeah, we overlooked just an interesting, quick little story that I'm really surprised. I don't think I ever knew, but it came to mind the other day. I don't know why. And I looked it up. The band Iron Butterfly is known for a song. And maybe they're known for more than that, but they're
most well known for a single song.
For a song, and it's In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida. It's just unimaginable to me that I hadn't heard this before in my life, but Lord knows I cannot remember ever hearing it. The story of the song, a lot of you may already know this, is In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida is the result of the lead singer being really drunk in the recording session.
No, not in the recording session. He was drunk when he was transcribing or when he was telling the lyrics of his
telling
new
the
song
lyrics, yes.
to one of the musicians, other musicians who was writing them down.
Correct. Yes, he was trying to say
Here's the song I wrote.
In the Garden of Eden, and he could only get out in the Garden of Eden, and that is what they chose to keep. The guy who heard him trying to say it and saying it in a slur.
And whether they knew and said, "Oh, that's cool, we'll stick with that,"
Right.
or whether they didn't know is unknown. But
Right. So I just thought that was your response to that was, now that is rock and roll.
Yes,
I think that's what your response was. So that is a real, rock and roll legend sort of story. But that's quoted. You can go out on the web and find it. And I just thought it was hilarious, just hilarious. And why hadn't I looked for the translation to In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida prior to that?
And I could be wrong, but I think what prompted this was my wife saying to me a month ago, 6 weeks ago, "What the hell does that mean?" And I'm like, I knew it was in the Garden of Eden, but I didn't know the specifics.
The background
I went and
of
looked it up, and yeah.
So that was fun. What do you got? You got anything?
Yeah, a couple of stupid mistakes of my own I'd like to throw out there. These are actual corrections.
Okay.
My sister Paula, little small know-it-all of the family, because I'm the big know-it-all of the family, reached out to me after a recent episode and reminded me that Tower of Power's biggest hit was actually So Very Hard to Go, not What Is Hip.
Oh.
She said that partially because So Very Hard to Go is one of her favorite songs. And being that What Is Hip is just about my favorite R&B tune,
Right.
I really don't care. She's right, but I really don't care.
Right.
I'm going with what I said.
But you're not
She's
concerned.
correct, but I'm going to stay by my ground.
You're going to say that what you actually said was their best song.
Right.
And not their biggest hit. Their best song. Right.
So Very Hard to Go is a very cool song, but it does not compare musically. It's more of a, 'cause I love you, baby.
You need to precede whatever your statements with. To me, it doesn't compare musically.
Well, A, I think that's assumed, and B, I don't fucking care, because I only care about what I think. Isn't that what you've learned over this last year?
So you're looking for another lob from Paula.
Yeah, exactly. She also reminded me in the same text string that Blue Skies, which I had credited to Willie Nelson, is not a Willie Nelson song. It's his. He made a hit with it, but he didn't write it.
Right.
It's an Irving Berlin tune. The thing is, when I was talking about this in that episode, I kind of knew that, and I think I was thinking of another song, and just that's what came to mind, because I was like halfway through the sentence, I was like, but I let it go.
We're frequently in the middle. We've disclaimers. We've disclaimered this a number of times that we are rambling a lot, and we don't.
And we're old. Right. And shit comes out wrong.
We try to, put our notes down and all that stuff in advance, but when you're going to be riffing, what do you call it? Ad-libbing? I don't know.
I don't know that we're qualified to do either.
You can't,
that's probably more accurate.
Meandering. You can't. Yeah, and then you're just in the banter and you just say stuff and you got to figure it out later. That's what the corrections are for. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So I think, did you have one more?
Yeah, I have an admission. How about that? It's a correction, I guess, but it's an admission. The episode, I think 2 episodes ago, I can't remember. Anyway, in a recent episode of There Goes Another Airplane.
Yeah.
How
appropriate.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can you hear it? Hear that airplane? That's what this is about. In a recent episode, there was an airplane. It was louder than that. It was flying a little lower.
And
it sounded just like an airplane that I remembered in the background of Led Zeppelin recording, and I attributed it to
the crunch.
The crunch.
I remember that
because I related the spoken, like the little banter in the studio where somebody says, "Where's that confounded bridge?" and they go back and forth about that with the airplane sound. But really, the song with the airplane sound going over is at the start of Black Country Woman, not the crunch. So now both of those songs are going to be on the playlist.
There you go.
And that was really my goal in that correction.
Sure. And then I had one where I called you out. I had said, I'd given you a clue from Give Me Some Lovin'.
Yeah.
By the Spencer Davis Group, knowing that you're a big Steve Winwood fan.
Yeah.
And I said, and I think that Traffic did it as well. And you were kind of like, well, maybe, but I don't remember that.
Yeah.
And I tracked down that it was actually one of their live tunes.
Okay, so it was on.
Yeah, it was on.
Yeah, was it? Their really well-known live album was. I can see the cover of it. I can't think of the name. Anyway,
I'll defer to you there.
Yeah.
I did have a pretty cool story about how it was written. And I'm quoting off of, oddly enough, the Wikipedia page.
Wikipedia, once again.
This is off of the Wikipedia page for the song Give Me Some Lovin'. And a little background, as recalled by bassist Muff Winwood, who I have to assume is Steve Winwood's brother, cousin, uncle.
Or alter ego.
There you go. And it says here that their manager, Chris Blackwell, took them to London, put them in a rehearsal room at the Marquee Club, and ordered them to come up with a new song. So they started to mess around with riffs, and it must have been 11 o'clock in the morning. They hadn't been there a half an hour, and I'm paraphrasing here. And this idea just came. We thought, well, buddy, hell, this sounds really good. We fitted it all together, and by about noon, we had the whole song. Steve had been singing, give me some lovin', just yelling anything, so we decided to call it that. We worked out the middle eight and went to a cafe that's still on the corner down the road from that studio. Blackwell came to see how we were doing, found our equipment set up and us not there, and he storms into the cafe absolutely screaming, how can you do this? How can you do this? And we're like, don't worry, it's done. And he's like, no.
Right.
So then they took him down back to the studio, and let me find it exactly here. We took him back and said, how's this for half an hour's work? And knocked off Give Me Some Lovin', and he couldn't believe it. We cut it the following day, and everything about it worked. That very night, we played a North London club and tried it out in the public, and it went down a storm. We knew we had another number one.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
what a great
that
story.
is rock and roll right there, baby.
That is rock and roll. That is rock and roll. You kind of, sling it together, and what do you know? It all fit, and then you go have a drink.
Yeah,
and
And when
your
it
boss
works,
is expecting a bunch of laggards to be.
Yep.
That
when
is
it works, it works, right?
That is a crack up. Can you imagine being the guy who is enraged with that group of musicians, and you're going to go down and sort of put them in their place about not working hard enough? Like, what would that position be like?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. Regardless of who he ended up being, Steve Winwood couldn't have been more than 17.
Yeah, and maybe you are familiar, maybe you're not, but I one of the people I was tempted to try to put together, like, let's follow their line of things. I mean, the guy was already playing with monsters at like 15.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He was already somebody at 17. So,
right, exactly.
Yeah, anyway. Well, that is a really cool story, and I really enjoyed hearing that.
All right, have we got anything else that we need to get in
traffic.
this
I don't think we need to tuck it in here.
Okay.
I think there might be one or two left, but we'll move it on to the other. So,
all right, so today's substantive segment.
Yeah.
How do you like that? Does that
Yeah.
sound important?
Substantive, and it goes along with the unk sub.
There you go.
Subs. Yeah.
It's an uncontrolled substance. We're not actually doing challenges. We're going to just chatter back and forth about
We're going to continue talking.
like we do, about a specific subject. And this had started out as an R&B segment. I wanted to do an entire episode of R&B, and Reed kind of said, I'm not as good with R&B as you are. Let's just do an uncontrolled substance. And
what I thought about was asking him why he wanted to get into R&D. And what that has to do with music, but
that's Race and Donna. R&D is Race and Donna, not research and development.
Oh, nice,
yes.
Very nice.
So it ended up being that rather than doing the entirety of R&B, we're just going to take a little tiny, big ass piece.
Did you catch that? Rather than doing the entirety of R&B, there's a scope for you to imagine.
So we're going to talk about songs written by the songwriting team of Holland-Dozier-Holland.
And then I'm also going to layer in something that I have to sort of...
Okay, well, you layer away there, pal.
Tuck in there also. But yes, Holland-Dozier-Holland is going to be
Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Eddie Holland. They were contracted to Motown. They were, as were many people that were contracted to Motown, taken advantage of and not compensated properly to their liking. I'm not saying that they weren't given what they were supposed to be given, but they weren't happy with it. And so they had a total of, I believe, as a writing team, 23 number one hits.
That is fantastic.
23 number one hits.
Even if that's over the course of 40 years, it's
still
remarkable.
Amazing.
Right.
And once they left Motown, they started their own recording company, actually two of them, Invictus and Hot Wax labels that they started, and had to use the pseudonym Edith Wayne, Edith with a Y, Edith Wayne, because they were still contractually obligated to be writing for Motown.
Right. Couldn't get out of the contract.
Pretty much, if you were a Motown artist from, I don't know, 1960 to 1968, let's just say, and you weren't Stevie Wonder, you recorded one of their songs.
There's the remarkable time frame factor.
Yes.
From basically 60 to maybe 70. So 10 years-ish.
Well, they were contracted with Motown until '68.
Yeah.
And then they went off and did their own thing. So we're going to talk first about the songs that the three of them did together, because that was the team. And then we'll talk a little bit about songs that each of them did with other folks.
Okay.
And we're going to kind of get, some of these we'll get deep on, some of them we'll let it go. We'll talk about the covers.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kind of just segue sideways just for a minute here. I just recently put together what I believe is our best playlist from episode 46. 46. It may very well be, it's not the longest, and it doesn't have the most hits on it, but it may very well be the best playlist from any episode we've had.
But it's got some teeth, baby. It's got some teeth.
It really does.
Yeah, I remember
really
that
does.
episode. I was excited about a lot of they were, for me, I remember there were a number of songs that I was just like, I've been looking at this song too long. It doesn't matter if it's an easy song.
Right.
I want it on the playlist. It's a rocker or whatever.
And I'm going to say that this playlist, for me, will surpass that.
Right.
Because I'm a huge R&B nerd.
You're an R&B junkie.
Right.
Yeah.
Junkie
or an R&B monkey, which relates more to the 8.
We're not just Mickey's Monkey, by the way, is one of the songs that Holland-Dozier-Holland wrote. It was a hit for the Miracles. Went to number 3 on the U.S. R&B charts. Sorry about that.
Nice catch. Nice grab there.
And these are starting in order from 1963. We're not going to hit everything because we just don't have that much time.
Right. And I want to get ahead here for just a minute, and because I'm only glancing really at this wiki list for the first time.
Of course you are, you unprepared bastard.
And what would probably come up anyway, but I think should be really noted, is that these songs in their original release time frames, many of them we can see here were hits multiple times by other artists, covered later, and they
lots of them,
and they hit the charts
again and
solid again and again. So
and came up high in the charts again.
Right.
I'm looking at 2 or 3 right here where it was a number 1 for that song, a song by Martha and Vandellas that was a number 1 song, and then 15 years later, 12 years later, it was number 5 for another artist. That kind of thing runs through this whole list.
Right.
I'm going to start with Heat Wave by Martha and Vandellas.
There you go.
Released in 1963, got to number 4 on the U.S. pop charts, to number 1 on the R&B chart, and was a hit again in '75 for Linda Ronstadt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got to number 5.
And the thing, I'm going to say this 3 more times throughout the course of this, but these are all songs written by these 3 folks.
Right.
Okay. Until we get to the point where they split up a little bit.
Right.
But that's the songwriter across the board here. Everything that we're talking about is Holland-Dozier-Holland.
Right.
Let's see here. And then also in '63, Mickey's Monkey, as I mentioned, by the Miracles, got to number 3 on the R&B charts, number 8 on the pop charts. Can I Get a Witness by Marvin Gaye.
Can I Get a Witness, yeah.
Okay. Number 22 on the pop chart, number 3 on the R&B charts. A hit again for Lee Michaels in 1971. And in the UK for Sam Brown, I have no idea who that is, in 1989. And these, I'm just hitting the stuff that's in the top, that hit the top 10.
Right, I was just going to say, we're skipping, 3 or 4 in between that made it to 44 and
22,
29
right,
and
exactly.
15 and that kind of thing. There's so many of them.
All right, you want to jump to the next one, whatever you got?
How about Quicksand, for instance, from Martha and the Vandellas? I don't see a cover referenced, but made it to 8 in the U.S. and 7 on the
R&B charts.
I'm sorry, U.S. pop 8 and 7 on the U.S. R&B charts. And also, of importance, the Supremes, for instance. The Supremes, When the Love Light Starts Shining Through His Eyes, 23 on the pop charts, but number 2 on the R&B charts.
Right, exactly.
So maybe not, the big hit for all the segments, but a big hit in its own right, R&B wise. And a lot of those here that it's just so hard to cover all of them.
Leaving here, Eddie Holland, one of the writers, actually had a hit with that one.
Yeah.
Got to number 76 on the pop charts, number 27 on the R&B charts. Again, we're still in 63.
Yeah. Where Did Our Love Go? The Supremes, number 1, and then in the UK, number 3, and reworked with multiple cover hits by 10 people listed there.
Now, the year that we were giving there is the year it was released, not necessarily the year it was written. Okay.
Correct.
Here you go, "Baby I Need Your Lovin'."
Right.
By the Four Tops, number 11 on. I'm sorry. Did you want to cover any of the covers For Where Did I Love Go?
I kind of just skimmed them because there's so many, but it's worth maybe reminding. Donnie Ebert hit number 15.
Jay Giles Band.
Jay Giles Band, Diana Ross, that's one that should come to your mind. Manhattan Transfer, the a cappella group, had a hit with that at number 40 in the UK. That's an
in
interesting
1978. So
Yeah.
15 years after it was released.
Tricia Penrose, etc. There are a number
There
of
are
these
several, yes.
that have 7, 8 hits from covers.
Baby, I Need Your Lovin' was the next one I was going to do from the Four Tops.
Right.
Got to number 11 on the pop charts, number 4 on the R&B charts. My mom was a huge Four Tops fan.
Yeah.
That's something that was played they were played all the time in my house.
Right.
I probably still have 3 or 4 of my mother's Four Tops albums.
Yeah.
From the original albums from the 60s.
The actual vinyl.
Yes. And I mean, like, played the grooves off kind of shit, right?
Right.
And that one, just a couple of the people that had reissues or covers of that. Johnny Rivers, which I remember that one was a hit.
Sure.
It got to number 3 in the U.S. in 1967. That's actually a really good cover.
Version of it, yeah.
Eric Carmen in 1979. I think that might have been when he was coming back onto the charts because he had been kind of away for a while.
Yeah.
In 1979 to number 62. We're going to move into 1964.
Kind of surprising in 1964, the Supremes had a triple number 1 with Baby Love. That's number 1 U.S. pop charts, U.S. R&B charts, and the U.K. charts. And there's only one noted cover of it in the U.K., and that to me is really mind-boggling.
That you'd think there'd be 10 covers
I would
because
think
it was
there'd
such
be
a
at
big
least
song.
10 covers of that
Yeah.
song. Yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, and the
But what that says to me is everybody listens to it and they're like, we can't
I'm
do
not
that
doing that,
justice.
yeah.
Right, I'm not touching that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, and maybe even on the same album, Come See About Me,
Yeah.
also by the Supremes, number 1 on the U.S. pop charts, number 2 on the R&B charts, and that's the first time I've seen the order switch.
The inversion, yeah.
and then number 27, the UK charts
Marvin Gaye, How Sweet It Is to Be Loved by You. Number 6,
on the
pop
pop chart.
charts. Number 3, R&B charts. 49 in the UK, but then you have... A lot of people remember James Taylor doing it more recently. That was in, 1975?
Right, and he got to number 5 on the U.S. charts,
Yeah.
and Junior Walker did a copy in 66.
Yeah.
That got to number 18. And I happen to
That's,
like that. Junior Walker, I love that band. The sax in that band
Right,
is just,
right.
they're amazing.
Stop in the Name of Love, Supremes.
Same year, we're
Yeah,
still going there,
same
right?
year. Well, actually, that one crosses the line in 1965. So
Oh, you're correct.
we're in
I
a
am
new
sorry.
year.
I am sorry.
Number 1 in the pop charts, number 2 on the R&B charts. Again, surprising, and number 7 in the UK charts. A few covers of that, not too many.
Most notably the Hollies, and then the reissue by Diana Ross.
Right.
And the Hollies got to number 29 in the U.S. with that.
Oh,
Nowhere
that-
to Run by Martha and the Vandellas.
such
That's a
great
hell of a song right there,
Nowhere
man.
to run to, babe. Yeah, that's a cool song.
Again, number 8 on the pop charts, number 5 on the R&B charts, number 26 in the UK.
I like that a lot of these, to my surprise. I mean, there are several, as we can see looking down the page, that have numerous covers, but there are several that hit number 1. Here's Back in My Arms Again by the Supremes. Hit number 1 and number 1, whatever. And just a
It
lot
was
of
20
people
years before
didn't-
anybody did a cover of it.
And a lot of people just didn't. I want to believe that it's because people listened to their version and were like, no one needs to touch that.
Yeah.
Like,
I
just don't.
mean, what else? Because it's a copycat business, right?
Yeah. Super cool.
Now, there may have been some contractual stuff
Maybe, sure.
within Motown, because Berry Gordy was very much, this is your song. This is your song. We've
Well,
talked
that's a
before,
good
we
point.
talked before
Right.
about the Temptations wanted to do a song, and they were allowed to do it, and somebody else did it and had a hit with it.
Right.
I believe the song War.
I remember
was
that.
one of
We talked
those.
about that.
Yeah.
A few episodes
so
ago.
maybe the thing was, and I don't know, Berry Gordy, I guess by this time in the mid 60s, with all of the number 1 hits, I mean, this is what made Motown hit city.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
this whole era, the stuff specifically coming out of Motown and Tamla.
Right.
I think Tamla was probably not before 1968, but Berry Gordy's record labels is what I'm saying.
Right.
I mean, it's what they called Detroit Hitsville.
Yeah.
Literally.
Right.
That was what the music industry called it.
Before it became Detroit Rock City.
Yeah. Well before.
Well before. Here's I Can't Help Myself, Sugar Pie Honey Bunch from the Four Tops, hitting number 1. U.S. pop and R&B, and then 23 in the UK. Several covers of that song. It's the same old song by the Four Tops. Number 5 on the pop charts, 2 on the R&B charts, 34 in the UK, and again, a number of covers.
KC did a cover of that. KC and the Sunshine Band did a cover of that. I didn't know. And Third World, I'm a big Third World fan. I need to go find that.
Yeah, that's a good one to hunt up.
Take Me in Your Arms and Rock Me a Little While. Kim Weston, I have no idea who Kim Weston is, but it was a number 4 R&B hit in 1965. And of course, we know the Doobie Brothers that hit number 11 in 1975. Right. I knew that. I know that version. I don't know the Kim Weston version.
Neither do I, but I certainly know the Doobie Brothers version, which also made it to 29 in the UK, the Doobie Brothers version. That's kind of interesting. I Hear a Symphony, great song. Again, no covers. Number 1 and number 2 on the pop and R&B charts, respectively. My World is Empty Without You, number 5 on the pop charts for the Supreme.
Babe should be in that title.
Right.
My world is empty without you, babe.
Babe. Right. It should. It kind of seems like it should. Number 5 on the pop charts, number 10 on the R&B charts.
And a hit for Jose Feliciano in 1969.
A nod to Jose Feliciano for covering that. You pick a next one. There's
Let's
so
see.
many to choose from.
This Old Heart of Mine, one of my all-time favorite songs by the Isley Brothers. I had no idea that was a Holland-Dozier-Holland song.
Really?
Yeah. That hit number 12 on the pop charts, number 6 on the R&B charts, number 47 on the UK charts. And that had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6 covers.
And all of them charted. All of them.
Rod Stewart most recently got it to number 10.
Yeah. Just
Yeah,
crazy,
pretty cool.
man.
I'm a Road Runner, Junior Walker and the
Baby.
All-Stars. That got to 4 on the R&B charts and 12 in the UK.
And again, no covers.
Right, no covers. That's a great song.
Here's a weird-ass title for a song. Love is Like an Itching in My Heart.
That is a weird title. And that got to number 9 and number 7, so we've heard that song.
Apparently, by the Supremes.
We're just not placing the melody or something. Yeah.
I Guess I'll Always Love You by the Isleys. I'm an Isley fan. I can't not say it.
And here we go. You Can't Hurry Love, the Supremes. This is from 1966 now. Number 1, and then number 3 in the UK.
And then, in 82,
Yeah.
Phil Collins did it, got to 10 in the US, and number 1 in the UK.
And I have to say, Phil Collins' cover of the song is not a great, diversion from the style of the original.
And I'm not a big fan of his cover because
I'm not either.
he almost seems to be doing it tongue-in-cheek, especially if you watch the video.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that he was disrespecting anybody. It could certainly be my interpretation is incorrect.
Sure, right.
But it just seems to be like
He was goofing a little
If
bit.
you can't do that better, leave it the fuck alone. Is where I was at.
Well, and that's kind of where I was at, but it's a statement on how great the song is. That
Yes.
the
Yes.
version, even from my perspective, obviously a lot of people like the sound of it. So what the hell do I know?
Yeah, it got to number
made
10
to
in the
number
US,
10
right?
And number 1 in the UK. I mean, talk about the quality of the music there.
Little Darlin', I Need You by Marvin Gaye, performed by Marvin Gaye. Didn't do as well on the charts. I mean, it was only number 47 on the U.S. pop charts, number 10 on the R&B charts. It hit 50 in the UK.
Right.
And the Doobie Brothers had a reissue of it, or a cover of it, in 48 with at number 48 in 1977.
Yeah. And then The Monster, Reach Out, I'll Be There by the Four Tops.
Just look over your shoulder.
Just look over your shoulder. Number one. It hit all 3. And
The Four Tops, obviously.
Right, by the Four Tops. We're still in 1966, but then 7, it looks like, covers of that.
Diana Ross, Gloria Gaynor.
Yeah.
The Four Tops had a reissue. And
Michael
Michael
Bolton.
Bolton did
Yeah.
it and
Yeah.
got it to number 37 in the UK.
Yeah, really strong song.
Yeah.
What do we got? I'm Ready for Love, Martha and the Vandellas. Number
Yeah.
9 on the pop charts, number 2 on the R&B charts, and 22 in the UK.
And the next one, You Keep Me Hanging On
By the Supremes. Yeah.
Number one, and 8 in the UK. There's a version that was made in 67 by Vanilla Fudge.
Yeah.
That was fucking amazing.
It's really
That's
cool.
A really,
I do like that version of the song.
Yeah, that will be one of the covers that
Yeah.
actually makes it into the playlist.
I do like that version
That is
of
a
the song.
phenomenal. My
I remember
brother
that.
was a huge Vanilla Fudge fan, and my brother was a singer and a drummer, and man, he could nail that tune.
Cool.
And in 1967, he would have been, or 1968. He would have been 15, 17 years old in that neighborhood, you know?
Yeah.
And he had some pipes, and he had a really good voice.
Very cool.
And
fun.
The dynamics with which the Vanilla Fudge version was done was much more intense. I mean, the song was great by the Supremes. But,
but
it was like almost a much heavier tune by the Fudge.
Yeah.
And
it was some rock and had a touch of that keyboard sound gave it a little of the psychedelic sound of the era, although I don't think it would be called a psychedelic rock hit.
And then Wilson Pickett did a cover, went to 16. Jackie DeShannon did a cover, went to 96. Diana Ross had a reissue in 91. In 86. And then Kim Wilde, who was a kind of an alt artist.
Yeah, she started off alt, and then she got to be like a dance pop artist, and this was definitely a dance pop song for her. But whatever, she did a different sounding cover and got to #1 in the U.S. and #2 in the U.K. So, hats off for the effort.
Standing in the Shadows of Love by the Four Tops. There's a song that will stand by itself.
How about
just
that?
Go over here in its own little column.
Exactly, right.
And the thing is that their harmonies were good, but they weren't brilliant by Motown standards.
Right.
But man, the way that that particular vocal group put the songs together.
Yeah, whoever was responsible, whether it was them or others in the studio,
doing the arranging so much and
right. They definitely had a way of packaging the sound. Yeah,
and I think that they varied back and forth on who was lead singing for the Four Tops.
Yeah.
And you could definitely all of them had such dynamic voices.
Like which top was at the top?
At the top. Yeah. Top of the pops.
Then we got a little string here. This one, Love Is Here and Now You're Gone by the Supremes, went to #1 and #1 on the pop and R&B charts, but then number 17 in the UK. And I gotta say,
no cover.
No cover, yeah. I mean, wow, that's mind-blowing. Jimmy Mack by Martha and the Vandellas. That is a great tune,
10
too.
on the pop charts, 1 on the R&B charts, number 21 in the UK. And that's shown up in several different movies, by the way.
Right. The next, I don't know that I've heard, but I want to go look it up because what a song name. Third Finger, Left Hand.
That means put a ring on it, is what that means.
Right. I mean, that's a great song title. I'm gonna go look that up. It doesn't have
it didn't chart here.
Charting numbers recorded. So yeah, it didn't chart here or anywhere else. Here's a song I Know You Love, Bernadette, by the Four Tops.
I need to meet Bernadette.
Yeah.
I need to. If he felt that way
Bernadette
about her, I need to meet
somebody
Bernadette.
up, didn't she?
She did. Number 4 on the pop charts, number 3 on the R&B charts, and number 8 in the UK.
In the ook. Yeah. Okay, let's see. The Happening by the Supremes.
And I don't remember that song, but it went to number 1, man.
I don't remember. It's probably a song that you just don't recognize the title.
And it was written by Holland-Dozier-Holland and Frank Duvall.
Yeah. With a cover by Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass, who we've recently talked about, making it to number 32 in the U.S. That went to number 1 on the pop charts, 12 on the R&B charts, and 6 in the UK. We have heard that song, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you had to have heard it.
Yeah. 7 Rooms of Gloom.
Yeah. What a great song name. Yeah.
Four Tops, number 14 on the pop charts, number 10 on the R&B charts, and number 12 in the UK.
And we get down to Reflections by
that song, right?
Diana Ross and the
Reflections.
Supremes. Yeah. I really do like that song a lot.
DR and the Supremes there got to number 2.
Yeah, number 2, number 4, and number 5. And then moving on to, what do you want to pick next?
Let's see. Come See About Me.
So many Supreme songs on here.
Yeah, we've skipped past a half a dozen of them because they weren't in the top 10. Come See About Me, Junior Walker and the All-Stars.
I thought that was done by someone else first.
I
thought it was done by a female.
It was done by the Supremes.
Yeah, I thought so.
But it was also a hit in '67.
Oh, okay. So maybe, yeah. So maybe that's the second of that we've seen. Shakin' Stevens did that in 1987.
Shakin' Stevens
got to 24 in the UK.
I have no idea who Shakin' Stevens was.
I don't either, but I certainly like the name. Okay, so we're moving to, in 1968, there were only a couple to speak of. They didn't get to the number 10 threshold, but...
and in 1968, the writing team moved on. They left Motown.
Right, their contract was up in 68.
Right.
But the Isley Brothers got to number 22 on the R&B charts with their cover of Take Me in Your Arms, which we had touched on before, and
Right.
also the Doobie Brothers later.
So now everything from here on out is written by Edith Wayne.
Right, the pseudonym Edith Wayne. Right.
Yes, for Holland-Dozier-Holland. And in some cases, there were people added in, other people. Let's go down here a little bit, and it looks like there's just a little bit of delay in early 69. They didn't have any hits right off the bat, but then...
The R&B side of the charts, though, like Crumbs Off the Table by the Glass House hit number 7. Girls, It Ain't Easy hit number 8 on the R&B charts. So they were still doing pretty doggone well in the R&B.
Absolutely.
And then
give me just a little more time.
Yeah. By the chairman of the board. Hit number 3 on the pop charts, number 8 on the R&B charts, and 3 in the UK. So nice turnaround, nice comeback.
Absolutely.
That was the first on this list in 1970.
That hit the number, that hit less than 10, lower than 10 on the U.S. pop charts.
Correct.
Band of Gold by Frida Payne.
Yeah.
Number 3 on the
pop charts.
Pop charts. Number 20 on the R&B charts. Number 1 in the UK. And then it was done again in 83 by Sylvester. You remember them.
I do.
In 86, Bonnie Tyler took it to number 81 in the UK.
Through the rest of the 70s, Deeper and Deeper by Frida Payne, If It Ain't Love, It Don't Matter by the Glass House. Several songs that I remember hearing, but none of them got to that number 10 sweet spot. And then we get into 1971, Stop the World, Let Me Off. That's a great song name. I don't know that I know the song, but 71 and then 72. We don't really have any on the pop charts that got...
But The Day I Lost You Was the Day I Found Myself got to number 8 on the
R&B charts, and that was by...
charts, and that does say written by Edith Wayne, again, those three guys,
yes.
And General Johnson and Ronald Dunbar.
That was done by the band The Honeycomb, which, what a great name. And then Chairman of the Board had a couple in there that they didn't chart that well, but they hit the R&B charts and the UK charts.
I mean, and when we say not charted that well, they didn't do more than they were...
Right, they didn't get to.
They were better than 100, but they weren't below 50.
Right.
And then we're going to move on into these are chart hits and notable songs written by Brian Holland alone or with others. And this, we're going back in time here in some cases.
Because the list starts back in 1960.
One you may know, Please Mr. Postman by the Marvelettes. Written by Georgia Dobbins, William Garrett, Brian Holland, Robert Bateman, and Freddie Gorman.
That one back far enough that the Beatles did a cover of it.
And they got to number 92 in the U.S. And that, by the way, was a number 1 here on both the pop and R&B charts in 1961.
And the Marvelettes carried him a little bit, it looks like, because in 62, the song Playboy hit number 7 on the pop charts and 4 on the R&B charts.
And Twistin' Postman, which I'm guessing was a ramped-up version of Please Mr. Postman. Number 34 and 13 respectively on the pop and R&B charts.
And then the Marvelettes also took this is 5 in a row for the Marvelettes. Someday, Some Way.
We'll be together.
Right, number 8 on the R&B charts, and it doesn't list where it hit on the pop charts, but
which would have been,
that hit on the pop charts.
Which means it went below 100, is what it means.
Man, I can't imagine that. But the Supremes did that song also.
I believe so. That's Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Freddie Gorman.
Right.
Strange I Know, also by the Marvelettes, by those same three guys, Brian Holland, Lamont Dozier, and Freddie Gorman. 49 on the pop charts and 10 on the R&B charts.
Right.
And then they also had, well, that goes into 63, so we'll skip ahead.
Goes to 63 with just the song Forever, but then 68... There's only one song listed by the Four Tops that hit 51, and that's I'm in a Different World, 1970, and then into 71. Oh, look at that. The chairman of the board did a song called Chairman of the Board.
The chairman of the board.
Right. Chairman of the Board was done by
Chairman of the
board.
Yes.
Hit number 10 on the R&B charts.
Frida Payne with Cherish What Is Dear to You While It's Near to You.
Chairman of the Board and Frida Payne and the Marvelettes were pretty big outlets for his tunes. There's a lot of that action going on here in these years for his songs written by himself or him with a co-writer.
Right. Then we get into 1975. The Jacksons got involved.
Yeah.
We're Almost There by Michael Jackson hit number 7 on the R&B charts. Just a Little Bit of You by Michael Jackson hit number 4 on the R&B charts. All I Do Is Think of You by the Jackson 5 hit number 50 on the R&B charts.
And then I want to hear this song. I don't know that I've ever heard it. Get the Cream Off the Top.
Baby by Eddie Kendricks, who was one of the lead singers for the Temps.
Okay. Hit number 7 on the R&B charts, but...
and 50 on the top.
Do you know that song?
Yeah, it's a little risque for the time.
But it sounds like the title of a good, like, funk
Yeah.
kind of song. So
Yes.
I want to hear that, like a funk jam. And if it's not, it should be. Okay, where do I go from here? The Supremes, Junior Walker with I'm So Glad. Those did not, get down low on the charts or get up high on the charts, whichever way you want to look at it. What else we got? Keep Holding On, Temptations, hit number 3 on the R&B charts. We're in 1976 now.
Love Gone Bad by Mavis Staples in 1984 hit number 75 on the R&B charts. Now that was Brian Holland, Alone or With Others. And so now we have stuff by Lamont Dozier, and there are no other writers credited on these. We have just, and he, by the way,
And he's the
recorded
artist.
all of them.
Yeah, he's the artist.
Let Me Start Tonight hit number 4 on the R&B charts. He also had 4 more. All Cried Out, Can't Get Off Until the Feeling Stops, Shout About It, and Love in the Rain. None of them did better than number 40.
Right.
But they all charted on the R&B chart.
On the R&B charts, correct.
And then we jump to
Eddie Holland Jr.
With
others, potentially. Right.
And they're just like you had the Marvelettes hooking up his brother. Here you have the Temps.
Yeah, a lot of the Temptations.
A lot of the Temps here.
Holy cow, look at all of them.
Starting in 1964, the Temps with The Girl's All Right With Me hit number 39. Girl, Why You Want to Make Me Blue hit number 11 on the R&B charts. Marvelettes, Two Men and Fish in the Sea hit number 5.
Right, 25 on the pop charts on that isn't too shabby.
Not
right?
at all. And Mitch Ryder had a hit in 67 where it got up to number 24.
Yeah.
In 65...
The Velvelettes had... He was really saying something. I don't know that I know that song, but the Velvelettes, I think, is a more enjoyable name for me than even the Marvelettes.
And it may have been the same people. You never know.
I love that.
That hit number 21. And Bananarama with Fun Boy 3 had a hit with that in the UK.
Can you imagine?
Up to number 5 in the UK in 1982.
1982. That is too much. We're into 1966.
And we're going to have some fun right here.
Ain't Too Proud to Beg by the Temptations. That song was all over the place. It hit number 13 on the pop charts and number 1 on the R&B charts. 21 in the UK, not too bad. But, I mean, that song has been around. The Stones... a lot of people, I just remember hearing a lot of people do it live, that kind of thing,
Well, and in 66, him and the Temps, 3 number 1 hits.
Yeah.
Ain't Too Proud to Beg on the R&B charts.
Right.
Beauty Is Only Skin Deep, and I Know I'm Losing You.
Yeah.
And Rare Earth does a version of that. That is
Losing
a
You,
motherfucker.
so good.
Yeah.
So good.
So, and all of those were Eddie Holland and Norman Whitfield, and then Cornelius Grant was included on I Know I'm Losing You.
In 67, All I Need by the Temptations hit 8 on the pop charts and 2 on the R&B charts. It also charted in the UK. Great song. And then also the Temptations, Loneliness Made Me Realize, in parentheses, It's You That I Need, number 14 pop charts, 3 R&B charts. And then 68, R. Dean Taylor hit in the UK with Gotta See Jane. Never heard that song.
No. Written by Holland, Dean Taylor, R. Dean Taylor, and Ronald Miller. And then the last one on this particular list in 1971 is Everything Is Good About You by the Lettermen, who are really very white bread.
Yeah, very white bread.
That hit number 74 on the U.S. pop charts.
That's a lot of songs between them. A lot of songs between them. I mean, it's just scrolling down page after page of songs. So,
I mean, we've been talking about this for a while, right?
Right. That's 15 or 20 minutes of just talking about this writing group.
Right, exactly. And that doesn't include their production credits. And I don't know that I'll bore you all with that. I'm certainly going to look at it and see what I like out of that. But, the point is...
Right. The point is it's worth, again, thank you to Wikipedia, donate to Wikipedia, this kind of collection. Looking around as we do for the show on the web, there are some people who put together their own, pages in fan following manner. And they're very, very thorough about a group or an artist with great stories about how the songs came to be and that kind of thing. But as far as this kind of collection goes and this kind of consistency and this kind of record of history, not just in the music stuff that Race of Apes and I are goofing around with here, but in a lot of ways and a lot of areas. I mean, Wikipedia, holy cow, it's just an amazing resource. So you don't have to AI it. You can go actually explore and get lost in a page for a few hours and go down a bunch of rabbit holes and just, have a better understanding of what these people did, what you're listening to, where the songs you love came from. It's so amazing. So while Race is looking off at production credits,
I've lost my brain.
Yeah,
I've exploded.
I can see him over there, hyper focused on it. I'm gonna.
Okay, so hold on.
Hold on.
They didn't write this, but they had a production credit on "Leaving Here" by Eddie Holland in 1963, which has been covered by Motorhead, The Bastards, Pearl Jam, The Byrds, The Who, Brownsville Station, and on and on and on. Oh man, and that's
So
just
great.
one fucking song,
Right?
And that's what I'm saying, guys. It's like the impact. Do you remember when we talked about Tom Dowd, the producer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something like he touched more than 100 top 10 hits in the U.S.
Sure.
These guys touched 70, 80, 100, top 10, 20 plus number one
Right.
hits.
20 plus number one hits that they're responsible for directly writing, plus the production impact that they had on so many other.
Right, and the covers that were done of those. I mean, it's just the amount of music that these folks are responsible for.
Yeah.
And people that, maybe it's just that people that my age remember. I don't know.
Right.
But so much of it has been done in movies and...
Yeah, you still hear them, and as not super recent, but the Kim Wilde cover we referred to that went to number one is a reminder that there are still people using these songs
15 years later
to either launch or advance their careers. And I would point to somebody that on a few episodes back when we had Mike, that was Wayne of Apes. Wayne of Apes was here, and he touched on listening to, we were getting a kick out of some of the more current artists and things that are out of your musical lane that you find yourself enjoying. And he touched on, kind of getting hooked by a couple of Doja Cat songs.
Yeah.
Well, there are a number of Doja Cat songs that are, and this isn't that unusual in the entire realm, that are taking their hooks from these songs, from songs from this era and that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
So this stuff lives through the years and lives in the background of the music that people are still developing. Think of how many songs through the birth and development and still the existence of rap and R&B have hip hop and R&B have drawn their hooks, their riffs from these songs.
I actually saw an article recently, and I don't have the particulars in front of me, that referenced that the majority of the early, what's that called? Samples. Of the very early samples actually date back to the late 60s and early 70s is where the music came from.
Right.
Like that's pretty fucking cool, man.
It's kind of cool.
It's pretty fucking
there's
cool.
a lot of good stuff there.
All right, so I'm done with my rant. Thank you for joining me along here.
And I'm only going to take...
said you got something else.
I'm going to take a couple minutes, and I'm actually going to try to make this kind of quick because we're into a little time here. But the thing I did in pursuit of this, because I am not as steeped in, deep... I'm not quite the R&B nerd, but there are a lot of scattered R&B songs that, Lord knows, you grew up with them, right? If you were listening to music, driving along in my dad's truck in the 60s, changing radio stations, you heard R&B songs. In the 70s, changing radio stations, you heard R&B songs all over the charts. So what it reminded me to do or triggered me to do is just type into Google R&B songs from the 60s. So the list that came up probably isn't surprising, but, and I am going to kind of race through these.
You going to say hello to the neighbor's dog?
The dog's like, don't read, don't. Or maybe the dog's like, yeah, cool, great idea. Thanks for the support, buddy. So
You're welcome.
You're welcome. I think that's what I just got back. So I'm just going to rattle some off. Respect, Aretha Franklin. Tighten Up, Archie Bell, and the Drells.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna jump in. You know that, right?
Oh, I know. When a Man Loves a Woman, Percy Sledge. Stand by Me, Ben E. King. Snatching It Back.
By the way, John Lennon, now in the playlist, does a serious version of Stand By Me.
Nice.
Off his album Rock and Roll.
Get it in there. Spanish Harlem, Ben E. King.
Oh, yeah.
Save the Last Dance, The Drifters, The Locomotion, Little Ava. La La Means I Love You, The Delphonics. Heard It Through the Grapevine, Marvin Gaye.
And 17 other bands.
And 17, right. So many. Only the Strong Survive, Jerry Butler. I Wish It Would Rain, The Temptations. Hit the Road Jack, Ray Charles. I'm trying to skip the ones I can see, so pardon the pauses, that we've already talked about on the other list. So take the assumption that there are dozens in this list that we've just
Already
discussed
covered.
off the Holland-Dozier and Holland. Walk On By, Dionne Warwick. Mustangs.
I'm not a big Dionne Warwick fan, but that song,
Yeah,
and
it's
I believe that's a Burt Bacharach song.
It is Burt Bacharach. She did so many tunes with Burt Bacharach.
Yeah.
And to my point just a few minutes ago, the hook, da, 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 from that song is the hook that anchors one of Doja Cat's most substantial hits here in the past year.
I'll believe you.
It's a really cool song on its own, but it is just, they use that hook and weave it through there to give the song its real anchor.
Right.
And you will be totally drawn into it.
I'm
Hook and anchor.
I'm getting in a boat.
The generation that is actually listening to Doja Cat, which, I mean, come on, they're in their 20s, maybe their 20s, their late teens, mid 20s, has no idea where that hook came from. And that hook came from this song, and this song's really cool.
Yeah.
It's worth tying together. Mustang Sally by Wilson Pickett.
Yeah.
Can't Get Next to You, The Temptations.
Now hold on. That is my favorite Temps tune.
Can't Get Next to You?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know, I love it. Will You Love Me Tomorrow, The Shirelles. Ain't No Mountain High Enough, Marvin Gaye. When Something's Wrong with My Baby, Sam and Dave.
Stan and Dave.
And I can scroll and scroll. So I wanted to touch on that and take just a couple more minutes.
Oh, yeah, please.
Please go, just for the kick of it, It's Your Thing, the Isley Brothers.
Oh.
I had to get that while I'm scanning through it. Anyone Who Had a Heart, Dionne Warwick, Get Ready, The Temptations. Papa's Got a Brand New Bag, James Brown. Just go type R&B songs from, not even the, and then change it to the 70s. And now let's get a little kick out of this, shall we? So if you
Now
go
you're gonna get a little funkier.
If you go do the 60s, I skipped 40 songs just now. You know what I mean?
That were hits. I mean,
these
actually legitimately charting hits.
These are hit songs, right?
Right.
Going to the 70s, Midnight Train to Georgia, Gladys Knight and the Pips. Me and Mrs. Jones, Billy Paul.
My sister Sean, who has passed, used to do a thing. She'd be drinking, having a beer, you know, and all of a sudden she'd go, me, like way out of tune, you know, like worse than I am.
Right.
And just, Miss Jones,
Just belt it out.
Yeah.
I'll Be Around, the Spinners.
Oh, that's a good tune.
Rock With You, Michael Jackson. What's Going On, Marvin Gaye.
That's certainly.
Let's Stay Together, Al Green.
Certainly.
Superstition.
Anything by Al Green. Anything by Al Green.
Superstition, Stevie Wonder. Backstabbers, the OJs.
Ooh.
Love that song, right?
They smile in your face and all the
Smile
time
in
go, take
the
your
face.
place.
Lady Marmalade, LaBelle, Sideshow, Blue Magic, Loving You, Minnie Riperton.
She was a babysitter for somebody I went to school with.
Are you kidding?
Seriously.
That is such a weird 6 degrees of separation thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? Let's Get It On, Marvin Gaye, Family Affair, Sly and the Family Stones.
Yeah.
Theme from Shaft, Isaac Hayes. Love
Shaft.
Hangover by Diana Ross.
I don't like that one.
You don't?
I just don't. I don't like that one. I don't know why. I
kinda
think
like
it's
that
something
song.
about the way she sings it.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's not. That doesn't mean it's a bad song. It means I'm an idiot.
Sure.
You know. So.
And again, I want to say that I'm skipping a lot here. When Will I See You Again? The 3 Degrees. War by Edwin Starr. I Want to Be Your Lover by Prince.
Ooh.
Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, Michael Jackson. I'll Take You There, the Staple Singers. That song is
Oh man.
deep in my core.
That is
that song is
religious experience.
deep in my core. And again, I could scroll and scroll.
And the playlist would just get longer and longer and longer.
We are we're long on time, but there are another 40 in there, and I just got such a kick out of scrolling and glancing and letting these, if you have anything like what's going on in my brain, and I think I can speak for Bones, you're hearing these songs as you just glance at the title and the artist as you scroll down the page. So, I just encourage you to go and type something as simple as that and let Google feed you some just a rush, just like a waterfall of kick-ass song memories. So,
Yeah. I mean, the playlist is already going to be 50, 60 songs right now.
This is ridiculous.
You know, I mean, it will take easily longer to do the playlist than it will to have recorded and edited this episode.
And then thinking about the people in the songs that I just named that we didn't directly connect to Holland-Dozier-Holland, who were some of the artists in those songs I named were writers, and writers who had a lot of hits themselves in the R&B realm. But the writers of the other songs who were just hits by the performers are also a lot of rich history. I mean, you could spend a lot of time really...
Oh, and I mean, think about the artists, all that, how much of that was Motown.
Yeah.
And the Fabulous Funk Brothers from,
yeah.
We've talked about them on many occasions.
Right.
The artists,
so much great stuff there.
Guys that, like, of the 40 songs you just named, there are 30 guys that were involved in one of them, and probably 25 that were involved in 6 of them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So, yeah. Just roll through it. It's really, really
it's cool shit. I mean, by the way, I proudly wear the R&B nerd hat.
Yeah.
It is one of my favorite hats.
I know you do.
And
I don't not wear it. I just never got. I was a mainstream rock. I was a heavy rock. And
your dad, when you were in the car with your dad, he was more of a country leaning guy.
He leaned country,
and my mom was more of an R&B leaning guy.
Right.
I mean, before the R&B stuff, we were listening to Sarah Vaughan and Nat King Cole in my house.
And my mom was listening to blues and jazz around the house, but she didn't really get to listen to that much of it until a little bit later.
Sure.
But my point is, I know these songs, when I just hit the R&B songs from the 70s Google search, not as specific as the Holland-Dozier-Holland thing, these songs are all familiar to me. Like all of them, and I love them. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm just not as familiar with who's behind them.
Right.
The depth of the artist in most instances and that kind of thing as you are. So
this episode has been a lot of fun for me.
This episode was brought to you by R&B.
And R&R, Race and Reed.
Race and Reed.
There you go.
Right on.
But yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of fun putting the playlist together.
You can just put almost everything in there. Just put everything. Just
Be the world's longest playlist.
Just put the link to the Google search R&B songs from the. Anyway, so we got to wrap it up. It's been going on a bit, and it's been great and all that, but we got to move on. So, what do you say now, Race?
I say hip hip R&B.
Hip hip. I say huzzah R&B.
No, this one has been a particular blast for me, and they all are. I really enjoyed doing this with you, but this one's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, very cool.
I went and looked, and we're not getting a lot of listens on the playlist, and that's cool. We're not getting a lot of as
30,
much as we'd like to on
40,
here.
Something like that. Yeah.
But if you haven't listened to any playlists at all, go and listen to 46 and now
47
because they kick ass.
Yeah, you're gonna really dig them. You're gonna dig them.
And by the way, happy holidays to you, Reed, and to all the millions of listeners out there.
To all the apes kitties, the mixed apes kitties in You Should Know This Song land. Should we sing?
No, you can sing. You have a decent voice. I can't carry a tune anymore.
We shouldn't really sing.
Before the 45 or 50 years of smoking, I actually could sing at one point. I was in a couple of choirs, if you believe it or not, back in the day.
No, you told me that story.
Yeah, and you still don't believe it.
Which doesn't say whether I believe it or not. Anyway, hope your holidays are great, and just have a good time this holiday season.
Your family,
Yeah,
just make this holiday the holiday you don't get into the argument with your brother-in-law.
Exactly. Just throw him out before that happens.
Come on.
Okay. All right. Thanks for coming along. Those of you who came along, you are
Mixed Apes. We are Mixed Apes. We haven't. By the way, we don't say that anywhere enough, but you guys know who we are.
Yeah. Just occasional little station ID to make sure you're not listening to, I don't know, something you're not supposed to be.
This has been You Should Know This Song. We couldn't be doing it. We could do it without you, but it wouldn't be as much fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we do appreciate you all for listening and liking and sharing and all those buttons that you're supposed to click.
Yeah, and we're interested in your feedback. We're interested in what you're thinking, how it's making you feel, all that stuff.
I can tell you that one other person in the world will be jumping and dancing when she hears that. And that's my little sister. She's definitely going to be digging on it. So thanks for coming. Thanks for staying. Reed, thank you for going along with me on this.
Yeah, that was great. I was a little apprehensive because I didn't think I would, I was thinking like, what am I going to add to it? But then I started doing the simple search, and that was made it fun.
Thank you very much. All right, I think that's it.
All right.
We are out.
Thanks all. See ya.
Later.